to the future, past to the future, yeah, past to the future. Never stop, never.
Hello and welcome to the video. I'm doing this video because it seems like Mattel decided to make every wrestler that I went out of my way and spent a lot of money into making a custom of. And one of those wrestlers was the white outfit Paul Orndorff, which is a very classic outfit for this particular wrestler, and it was essential to have. And it was a simple upgrade and custom from the original basics version of the white trunks Paul Orndorff, and I just slapped it on a regular basic. I think it was a British Bulldog basic, and I do believe I swapped the legs out with another wrestler, but I can't remember now. And I just used the boots from the that original white trunk basic Paul Orndorff, and I really enjoyed the body. One of the things that's important to me is getting the right height for Orndorff. It's weird. I can deal with some body differences, but one of the things that bothers me the most is when a character is out of proportion, and that's always been a classic issue with Paul, going back to the original LJN. But I just wanted to, it's not a comparison also as to which figure is better, because I really do like the new Paul Orndorff with the white trunks that came with the 3 set with Roddy Piper, the Piper's Pit set, and Bob Orton. So just wanted to do a comparison. So this first shot here is a front view. The Paul Orndorff on the left, as you're facing the video, is my custom. Again, that body was a British Bulldog figure. I forget where I got the legs from. The knee pads are from Figures Inc., but the boots and the head were from that original basic white trunks Paul Orndorff that had the it wasn't even really a, I mean, can you call it a T-crotch? But you know, the hips were just that standard, you know, up and down movement. They didn't swing left to right or into any position. So, you know, that figure, as a matter of fact, the one that I used, I think in one of my very first videos, that Paul Orndorff, I used that one for this particular custom. And right next to him on the right is a really great figure. It's the Mattel version of Paul Orndorff with the white trunks that came with the Roddy Piper box set. And you can see they did update the boots. Now, I am not 100% sure if those boots which one actually matches the ones that Paul wore. I actually have to go back and check on that, but I really like it. I think I'm going to keep both. For a while I thought about updating the trunks on my custom and to make it a new Paul Orndorff. Maybe I was going to switch it to the blue, because the blue Paul Orndorff is actually really short, and I like to do a comparison with everything, or gauge the wrestlers and their body types to a Hogan figure. So if the figure works well with both a basic Hogan and a ultimate Hogan, then that's the figure that I use. If not, I'll try to update the body and to something that's more appropriate. But I think that the British Bulldog body worked. It gave Paul a lot of great muscle mass, a lot of definition, and I think that while they didn't use the same body, I think the new one was also pretty good. It has a great height, just the perfect feel. And so I'm going to show a few pictures of the scaling of mine versus the new. This next shot captures the size of the Piper's Pit Paul Orndorff against the Ultimate Edition Hulk Hogan. And I think that this size works perfectly. Hogan is larger than Orndorff, and even though Orndorff is more defined, Hogan, had the bigger arms and just the overall bigger body, the legs and everything. It's funny because actually Hogan would sometimes look very chubby actually next to Orndorff, but I love the height here. I think it's perfect, and in terms of comparison, in terms of their muscles, I think that the Ultimate Edition is the best way to go, and that's exampled here. Here we compare the bicep difference, and we can see that it looks like to me the Ultimate Edition might be a little bit larger. You guys would have to let me know if anybody comes across this video and has an opinion. But that's one of the problems with some of the Hogan figures, is that for the guy that, you know, partially built his career on having the largest arms in the world, 24-inch pythons, that attention to detail has been lost on many of the different versions of Hogan, sadly, especially the ones targeting his core area. But I think even still, I think the overall largeness of the Ultimate Edition Hulk Hogan figure works really well with the Piper's Pit Paul Orndorff, even in the bicep area. But you'll see that where there might be a need for a custom once I get to the basic comparison. Now we compare the Paul Orndorff figure to the Hulk Hogan basic figure, and this is where we start to have problems. The only good thing that I will highlight is that the bicep difference is appropriate. Orndorff was cut, but Hogan had the bigger arms, and that was a defining characteristic of him in the 80s. And so this comparison, we will see that the arms are correct, but man, oh man, the issues are definitely with the basic. This is just honestly giving me a chance to rant on the basic, but this comparison does highlight the issues, because we will go back to that old LJN issue where the Hulk Hogan figure is smaller than the Paul Orndorff figure. It's amazing that we still have this problem in 2026, but you know, here we go. Now with this shot, we get to see how the biceps are appropriate and where the Paul Orndorff figure really excels, because it really captures his body in the 80s, and that is compared to the Hulk Hogan figure, which not the body, as you can see, is particularly scrawny compared to the Paul figure, but the biceps are correct. So you might have to do an arm swap. I might have to do that for a bunch of the Ultimate Editions, because I prefer the bodies, but I really don't like the I prefer the arms, but I really don't like the bodies. And as we can see here, the Paul Orndorff figure is as big in the body, not in height, but overall mass to the Hogan figure, but all except for the arms, which are actually correct. So I do like this aspect of the Paul Orndorff figure in relation to the Hogans, because either which way, Hogan is overall larger, and I do think that's captured, even though I really don't like the basic body at all. And I have another picture to further example just how it's disproportionate, and I really wish Mattel would discontinue that body. It honestly is disrespectful, but I think it helps them to save on, material for printed t-shirts, and it's just a cheap mold to reuse. But I think that they're really conning the fans. We at least could get a new, in terms of the upper torso, a new body. This really needs to change, and we'll see with this next picture. Now with this particular angle, you can clearly see that there's a particular problem here with this basic Hogan figure in relation to the Orndorff figure. And again, this is not a knock to the Orton figure, but you see where there is a problem. Orton is fine, but he really doesn't work all that well with the Hogan, unless you're going for an LJN feel, in which the LJN Paul Orndorff figure was much larger. I remember when I first got him and was trying to wrestle with him with Hogan when I was young, and it took a lot of imagination to get through that difference, because it was so noticeable. And we still have that problem. I think it's bizarre to be having that problem today, but we do. And you can really see here, Hogan looks scrawny next to the Orndorff figure, which I think is great. The Orndorff is perfect. The problem is with the Hogan body, as we can see. Now we move on to my custom of Paul Orndorff in the white, and we are comparing him to the Ultimate Edition Hulk Hogan body. And I think it works well. I think it works just as good as the other one. I'm trying to think if I have a preference in terms of the upper torso. I can go either which way. I do like this one. I think it works for Paul Orndorff. It gives him a nice muscular feel in comparison to the Hogan. And again, the problem is with the Hogan, because even though the basic is all the way around terrible, the small upper body just really ruins it. But the Ultimate Edition gives you a little bit more beef or heft and height and overall mass, and I think that showcase here, I think, is appropriate. Hogan is taller, so I think my custom really did work. I mean, I set out specifically to make sure that he had this particular kind of height. Like, I remember having to source the legs in particular to get this height, and that's why I eventually want to do an update of the blue Paul Orndorff, because he's too small to me, and I don't know if that might be the correct difference if you were to compare the Ultimate Edition Hogan to the blue Paul Orndorff. But I think he needs just to be a little bit taller, and that's what I was trying to capture here, and I think I did it. And this is a good side-by-side comparison. Again, we can see that it has the right height, and depending on where you put the angle, because even though the torso in a lot of ways is much larger in the or between the Ultimate Edition Hogan and the basic version, he still has kind of his stomach area is very thin, very small, and if you angle it a certain way, he can look, particularly big. And I think that the custom worked perfectly to, give you that feel where Paul Orndorff was smaller, but capturing, his muscular body, you would believe that he's still capable. And that's one of the things, again, that I was looking for when making the custom. Now, this is where I think that the Piper's Pit set Orndorff is better than mine, and that is the arm, specifically the bicep area. Even though I do have issues with the arm on the Ultimate Edition Hogan, the arms that they use for the British Bulldog figure that I eventually used is just overall too large, period, for both characters. I liked everything else, and I just had to bypass that, even though I'll be honest with you, it was a pet peeve. Yeah, it's just too big. And unfortunately, I cannot believe, but I forgot to take comparison pictures of my custom Orndorff against the basic Hogan. But if I can ever get around to finishing these matches and these storylines, maybe I'll do one, have them make a quick, match, and I'll include both of those figures so you can see just how small and ridiculous that basic body is in comparison to both versions of the Paul Orndorff. And this is just a back shot of the custom Paul Orndorff figure. So for anyone who comes across this video, I hope that you enjoyed looking at my custom Paul Orndorff and the comparison of him with the Piper's Pit set Paul Orndorff in the white. I know I did a lot of talking about the Ultimate Edition and basic Hogans and talking about their problems, but Hogan is always the benchmark, and I know that some of the other Orndorffs were smaller, but I really do appreciate the height. They went for the exact same height that I had went for, and I think that they did that previously with the Red Trunks Paul Orndorff. So they've been moving in the right direction in terms of height. I don't have a problem with the reuse of the head. That's appropriate to me. I mean, I'm almost certain it's a reuse. If it seems to be the same to me. I haven't looked with any depth, but I really do enjoy the new Piper's Pit Orndorff. I might try to eventually get some of those to convert them to a blue trunks. I do not know how to get those legs off the blue trunks Orndorff. That's the older one, and those are particularly hard, and so I might just have to get a white one and paint it. So we'll see. Any which way, thank you for joining me, and I hope to create more videos more consistently in the future, and hopefully you'll continue. Please like and subscribe, and take care.
It's amazing, quite amazing. The adventures that we share, they're amazing, forever amazing.